car pulled up alongside me this morning while I was out walking the dog, and my heart just dropped because, I mean, you'll probably understand if you're a woman, hopefully not, but the amount of men who have pulled up alongside me or like followed me, or anyway, thankfully this time it was a woman, and she actually said, "I don't want to scare you." She's like, "I'm trying not to scare you." And I just turned around and she said, "I see you out walking your dog a lot, and I just want to say that your dog is beautiful." Made my morning, like made my day, made my month, and it was just so refreshing. One of those lovely moments. But the reason I'm telling you this story is because January has been a bit of a dud month, honestly. I haven't, like the last 2 weeks, first half was fine, second half not so much. I felt really low. I was kind of like just withdrawing into myself a lot, and I wasn't, I was kind of like struggling to get out of bed in the morning, thinking like, what's the point? The house is getting messy, laundry's piling up. But that really cheered me up, and I came home and I thought, no, I'm gonna get this monthly reset done. It's the last day of January, and then I can start fresh in February. I don't think I'll be like 100% happy, super cheery or anything, but if I can just pep myself up a little bit, that will hopefully be enough to keep me going. First thing on my monthly reset list, on all my reset lists, is always laundry, because it's one of those things that can be working in the background, like the machine can be running while I'm off doing something else. So this is how I start. I always get comments on the size of my washing machine and how much stuff it can hold. It's amazing, trust me. I know it holds a lot. I do stuff them. No, I know you're not supposed to, but I do, because I just want to get everything done. So I think 2 loads will get me all caught up on laundry today. It's just my daughter's stuff and my husband's stuff. All my stuff is pretty much, like I have a handful of things in there, but everything should be done. But before I move on, quick reminder that I do have a free reset checklist that kind of has a template checklist, so kind of like a lot of the main things that I do, and then a blank one that you can fill in yourself. So if you're interested in doing weekly resets, monthly resets, or whatever, you can go grab that. I will link it in the description for you. I used to be a bit of a perfectionist about this next thing, and then I learned a valuable lesson which has stood me in good stead the rest of my days, well, hopefully. But I used to be, so like dusting my plants, I used to try and get every individual leaf, and it used to take me forever, and I started to just like hate the process, dread it, and then eventually just stopped doing it. Like I would skip over it, and eventually I realized just like quick flick, be grand. It's better to, like, honestly, this I can't believe I'm saying this as a perfectionist, but honestly sometimes it's better to half-ass a job rather than just not do it at all, which is what I was finding. I just hated it so much that I kept avoiding it. And in the end, I figured, well, a quick flick to get like the main bits of dust off is better than not doing anything at all. You don't have to be super particular about it, but something is better than nothing. Also, for everyone wondering, can you even hear me anymore? It's so dark. For everyone who asked about Nero, because I shared in a recent video that he wasn't doing too well, let me show you. He's still not doing too well. So he was down to 1 leaf, basically. He lost all his other leaves, but just in the past day or 2, he started to grow 2 more leaves. So I have hope for him. I think he's making a comeback, which is great. And obviously much quicker to dust. The reason I called him Nero, in case anyone, I'm sure nobody cares, but he's a little fiddly fig, a mini fiddle. But anytime I thought little fiddle, I kept thinking of Nero fiddling while Rome was burning, so that's where the name came from. There is usually some form of method to my madness. I am worried though, like when we move back to Ireland, how am I, like, I don't know if I'll be able to bring my plants with me. I don't know if they'll survive the journey. So I'm kind of already pre-devastated about that, which is ridiculous. One of the best things I do as part of my monthly reset is to top things off. So I'm talking hand soaps, dish soaps, laundry detergent, toilet paper, etc. And the reason I do this is because it makes sure that we always have enough on hand, that I never run out of anything, because I can see when I'm running low and I have time to order it before we actually run out of it. But something I've done this year differently is that I have ordered enough of that stuff to hopefully last the entire rest of the year. And the reason I've done that is because it's essentially going to save me a job. I won't have to reorder again, hopefully, if I've calculated correctly, for the entire rest of the year. It's something that I have taken off my plate. And that's something I've really been focusing on recently. It's getting rid of things to save me time and hassle in future. Sometimes cutting things out one time, it means you never have to deal with it again, or not for a long time. So while I will still be topping things up on a monthly basis, I no longer have to worry about running out. That's something that has been taken off my plate for the rest of the year. And then following on from that, I've done something else that will also save me, something that I can delete from my monthly reset list. And that is reading articles. So I have a feed reader, I save a lot of blogs and stuff in there, but I started to question what value I was getting from it. Like, was it worth all the time I was spending reading all of these articles and catching up on all of these blog posts? Was I getting enough value from it? And the answer, it turned out, was no. Like, some of them were interesting and stuff, but I wasn't getting enough value out of it, enough benefit out of it to warrant the time I was spending reading them all each month. So while I used to have read articles on my monthly reset, I'm now going to delete that because I've just decided I'm not going to read them anymore. There are a handful, a very small handful of blogs that I do still read, but I subscribe to their newsletter. So once a week or so, they would send me a newsletter that refers to their recent blog. But some of the blogs I was following would be posting like multiple times a day. So by the end of the month, I would have a lot of articles to catch up on, basically. But yeah, that's something that I have just decided I'm not going to do anymore. It's going to save me a lot of time. So delete. Something that I do still have to spend time on, though, is updating my spreadsheets for my tax returns, all of my income and expenses. And I have managed to stay on top of that really well recently, like in the past few years, particularly last year. And it's because I sit down every month and I input everything for the month. So come the end of the year, come tax, I've actually already sent off my taxes, my US taxes and my Irish taxes, to my separate accountants. So that's another thing that I don't have to worry about for the rest of the year. But yeah, if I just keep them updated every month, come the end of the year, everything's pretty much already done for me, and I can just attach them in an email and send them off. It's great. Something I found really interesting today, and obviously I'm not finished my reset list yet, so this might change, but normally my resets, my monthly resets, would take me pretty much the entire day, and sometimes they would run into the next day. Whereas today I'm finding I'm absolutely just flying through it, and I definitely thought, particularly because I'm recording, that it would take significantly longer. So I thought I might have to record this over 2 days, but so far so good. I think I might get away with just the one day. I think I'll finish everything today. Also, I have absolutely no idea how people sew and talk, because I'm finding this incredibly difficult. I watched a video recently of a girl who was like sewing and talking, and I was like, how are you doing that? This is a pretty easy sewing job, to be honest. It's just one of the cuffs on one of my Christmas jumpers had started to rip a little bit at the seam here, so I'm just stitching that up, because one of the things on my monthly reset is to complete one project. So this is basically something that I have been putting off and it's usually sewing, some form of sewing job, but it could be anything, just something that has been sitting there for a while that I've been meaning to get done. I use my monthly reset as an opportunity to get it done once and for all, to kind of force myself to do it. I do have plenty of other clothes sitting in the laundry room that also need repairing. But for now, I'm just focusing on one thing at a time, like I talked about earlier, half-assing things. Just doing something rather than nothing, because I've been putting off this sewing pile for a while because it's so big and there's so many things that need to be mended. But I'm determined to do it, so one item of clothing at a time. Something I want to learn this year is how to darn socks. I have a few socks there that I want to darn, so that's a new lesson for this year. Okay, this hasn't been too bad. But yeah, other things I've done today. I have so the spreadsheets did not take long at all. I've been keeping on top of those, so I'm thrilled about that. I also made a list for myself of all of the places where I would normally find all that stuff. So bank accounts, PayPal, etc. So I know exactly where to look. And I also created a folder in my email inbox. So as soon as a receipt or something comes in, I send it to that folder, and then all of my tax stuff is all together in one folder in my emails. So it's much easier to find everything. Is this tight enough? This seems pretty good. I'll go back over it one more time just to be sure. I think maybe because I did such a good New Year reset, if you saw those videos, if not, I will link them. But I think because I did a really good, solid New Year reset, and I have done a weekly reset since, I think that's probably why I'm flying through things today. It's not taking me nearly as long because it's not like months and months worth of stuff that has backed up. I usually, even though I say it's a monthly reset, I don't do it every single month, and I certainly don't do everything on my list every single month. I'm hoping to get the vast majority done today. Clip off all of these extra threads and things. I'm very pleasantly surprised by how this has gone. This is my mother's sewing kit, or at least it was until I stole it. But I really like it. I like having a sewing kit, even though I'm not a sewer. It's like not one of my skill sets, but it's nice just for quick little repairs, and I feel better just having a sewing kit in the house. Makes me feel like I have my life together, you know. Well, that's not, I did a good job there. I mean, as in, it's not going to fall apart anytime soon, which is good enough for me. So that's another job down, and the next on the list then is to declutter 5 items. I keep this on my monthly reset, even though I do declutter on a regular basis, and like you've seen me, that's what all my videos are about. I still like to keep that. Oh, here's another loose thread here. What's that about? Oh, the other cuff is also... Okay, back to the drawing board with this. But yeah, I like to just kind of give myself a little extra challenge, 5 extra things each month to declutter, to keep me on my toes. I know the top floor is completely decluttered. There's nothing up here that needs to go. That's quite the revelation, actually. There is nothing on this top floor that I would want to declutter right now, because I know I have gone through every single space with a fine-tooth comb. Wow. I learned how to sew in school, and I kind of wish I had kept it up. I did a sewing class when I was a grown-up, but it was like very basic stuff and like just foundational things. So yeah, but it's one of those skills. There are several things that I would like to be able to do, and I think as I get older I'm learning, like cooking, learning slowly but surely how to cook a small handful of things. That whole kind of like self-sufficient lifestyle really appeals to me in certain aspects. I don't think I would like to be fully self-sufficient, but just kind of some old traditional skills It's nice to be able to, in terms of like being environmentally friendly and like looking after your things, I think it's nice to be able to repair things. It's nice to be able to grow some of your own food. Just makes things easier, more sustainable, less waste, and then obviously less to declutter, less to clean, less to tidy. Oh, I'm all about it. One of the biggest benefits of decluttering, honestly, is the amount of time it saves you, because you don't have to clean things, well, as many things. You don't have to tidy as much. You don't spend time looking for things. And then, decluttering your schedule really, really helps. Again, like I was talking about earlier, finding things that you just don't need to do anymore or don't want to do anymore. Getting rid of things that are just going to save you so much time in the future. Okay, it is a few hours later, but I had to collect the kid. We had dinner, dessert, we tidied up, all that good stuff. And I have actually been working on this, and I'm not 100% finished yet, but nearly there. It is my January review. So all the things that went well this month, and even though my mood was really low for the second half of the month, I had lots to celebrate, lots of achievements this month. So seeing that list always helps make me feel better, because in my head, I have a terrible memory, but sometimes the days just pass by in a blur, and it's difficult to remember what you actually did each individual day, like what you achieved. So having my planner, but writing everything down every day, makes the monthly review process so much easier. So I just read back over my journal entries and I write my list of what went well this month. And there's loads of stuff on here. I definitely had a slower, more intentional pace, and then some lessons that I learned. One of which is that I definitely revert to night owl mode in the winter. I don't know, but my sleep schedule just changes. I want to sleep in a lot later, and then I'm more energized at night, and that happens every winter pretty much. So this year I've noticed it, and I've kind of just accepting it and leaning into it. In past years I've been fighting it, trying to go back to getting up early and being super productive, kind of from the get-go, whereas these days, not that the mornings are a total wash or anything, but I really don't kind of get going until afternoon. So this year I've kind of just accepted that. Room for improvement, not letting other people's opinions affect me. One or two kind of instances of that this past month, where I let someone else's opinion, or someone else's thoughts or judgments or whatever, kind of just set in on me a little bit. The final step is to basically plan out February. So what I found best for me is to, because I can't plan too far in advance, because so many things change, things happen, things crop up. If I plan too far in advance, my plans will just inevitably get all messed up. So what I found most suitable for me is to plan 2 weeks in not a huge amount of detail, but kind of having a good idea of what I would like to do over the next 2 weeks. And then the final 2 weeks of the month, I kind of leave it a little bit broad, give myself lots of buffer time to catch up if I fell behind on anything. But yeah, give myself a rough idea. So a little bit more structured in the beginning, and then leaving time in the end to catch up on things or to deal with new things that will inevitably crop up throughout the month. I have to say, this process, one of the things that I really enjoy about a process like this is that even when I do have a low month, or a month where I'm not feeling myself, or maybe I was sick or something like that, doing a review and looking back on the things that I did manage to achieve in spite of a low mood or a bad time or something like that, it really, really helps. Like in the moment, I feel like everything is terrible and I'm getting nothing done and everything is miserable. It's just, everything kind of can seem really bleak in the moment. Whereas when I take time to sit down and do these reviews and I look back over all my highlights and things like that, it's really nice. Like I sometimes when I'm, feeling low, I feel like I'm wasting my time or, not seizing the day or something like that. Whereas when I do this review, I can actually see like, oh, I did still get stuff done. I still had some little achievements, some wins. I still learned some lessons. I still have, a whole new fresh month ahead of me to make improvements and make changes. So it really basically helps me to see that it wasn't a waste of time, even if in some moments it maybe felt like that. And that is my monthly reset for January done. I am ready for February. Make sure that you download your free reset checklist, and until next time, slán!